Think about the last time a coworker said something dismissive in a meeting. Maybe they brushed off your idea or took credit for something you did. And then, for the next hour, maybe longer, you replayed it. You rehearsed what you should have said. You ran through every possible version of that conversation in your head. Nothing changed. The meeting was over, but your brain stayed in that room. Or maybe it was a family member. One comment about your job, your relationship, your choices, and suddenly your whole weekend is reorganized around managing their opinion of you. Most people's response to this is to try harder, to explain themselves better, to manage the other person's reaction, to say exactly the right thing so the discomfort goes away. But here's what's interesting. The people who seem the most at peace aren't better at managing others. They've just stopped trying. There's a two-word phrase that makes that shift possible, and by the end of this video, you'll have a simple framework you can actually use this week with a coworker, a family member, or your social media feed. So why is this so hard to begin with? Why do we keep trying to manage what other people think, even when it clearly isn't working? The answer goes deeper than habit. Research on social pain shows that the brain processes social rejection in the same regions it uses for physical pain. When a coworker dismisses your idea in a meeting, your brain doesn't file that as mildly awkward. It registers something closer to a threat. So when you spend the next hour trying to mentally fix what happened, you're not being neurotic. Your brain genuinely thinks it's protecting you. The problem is the protection strategy. Psychologists use the term locus of control to describe where you place your sense of power. An external locus means you believe your emotional state depends on what other people do. An internal locus means it depends on how you respond. And research consistently shows that people who operate from an external locus, always focused on other people's behavior, report higher anxiety, lower self-esteem, and less satisfaction overall, because you're trying to control a system you have no real access to. Think about the three situations most of us get stuck in. A coworker dismisses your idea in a meeting, and you spend the rest of the day trying to figure out how to prove your worth to them. A family member makes a comment about your relationship or your career, and you launch into a full justification of every decision you've made for the past 5 years. You post something on social media, it gets fewer responses than you expected, and suddenly you're checking your phone every 10 minutes, refreshing, second-guessing the caption, wondering what it says about you. In all three cases, the actual event is brief. What drains you is everything that comes after. The mental replay, the rehearsed responses, the obsessive rechecking. That's where the real cost lives. Not in the moment itself, but in the hours your brain keeps running it back. And here's the part that makes it worse. Trying to change how other people see you rarely works. When you over-explain, over-justify, or contort yourself to manage someone else's reaction, it almost never lands the way you want. The person usually doesn't update their opinion, and somewhere in your nervous system, you register that the attempt failed, which makes the anxiety stronger, not weaker. You've trained your brain to keep trying a strategy that doesn't work. There's a two-word phrase that short-circuits this whole pattern. And it works not because it changes your attitude, but because it redirects where your attention goes. Mel Robbins calls it the let them theory. The idea is simple. When someone does something you don't like, ignores you, judges you, disappoints you, instead of reacting or trying to fix it, you say to yourself, let them, and you mean it. Now, before you dismiss this as passive or naive, it's worth understanding what's actually happening psychologically. In acceptance and commitment therapy, there's a concept called cognitive diffusion. The idea is that you don't have to wrestle with every thought or reaction that shows up. Instead of fusing with it, getting pulled into the spiral, you step back and observe it.
Let them is essentially a diffusion tool. It creates a small gap between the trigger and your response, and that gap is where your clarity lives. But Robbins adds a second step that most people skip, and it's the part that gives you real traction. After let them, you ask yourself, let me. Let me decide what I actually want to do here. Let me choose how I respond. This is where the power shifts, from what they're doing to what you're going to do next. Run it through the 3 scenarios. Your coworker takes credit for your idea. Let them stops the emotional spiral. Let me asks, do I address this strategically, document my work more carefully going forward, or move on? You stop stewing and start deciding. Your parent makes a comment about your choices. Let them ends the urge to justify yourself to someone who isn't really asking a question. Let me asks, what response actually serves me here? You post something online and the reaction isn't what you hoped. Let them breaks the loop of obsessive checking. Let me puts you back in charge of what you create and why. The neurological reason this works is that when you redirect attention from an uncontrollable outcome to a controllable response, you shift activity from the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, to the prefrontal cortex, which handles clear thinking and decision-making. You're not just calmer, you're actually thinking better. So knowing the concept is one thing. Building it into how you actually move through your day is something else. Because let them isn't a passive shrug, it's a deliberate mental interrupt you practice until it becomes automatic. Think of it like a reflex you train. The more you use it, the faster it fires. There are 3 steps, and they run in sequence. First, notice the trigger. This sounds obvious, but most people skip it because they're already inside the reaction before they realize it started. The trigger is the moment you feel the urge to fix, explain, or manage someone else's response to you. Your coworker talks over you in a meeting. Your mom makes a comment about your relationship. You open your phone to check how a post is doing for the 4th time in an hour. That pull you feel, the need to do something about it, that's the trigger. You have to catch it before the spiral starts. Second, say, let them. Out loud if you can, in your head if you can't. And say it straight, not as sarcastically, not as a way of suppressing frustration. This is a genuine release. You're not pretending the thing didn't bother you. You're choosing not to chase it. That's the pattern interrupt. It creates the gap. Third, ask, let me. What do I actually want here? What does the version of me I respect do next? This is where you stop reacting and start responding. With the coworker situation, you decide whether to address it directly, document your contributions more carefully, or simply move on, without the emotional cloud clouding the decision. With family, you stop defending yourself to someone who isn't actually asking a question, and you choose a response that keeps your peace intact. With social media, you close the app. You let people respond however they respond. You already said what you wanted to say. Now, you might be thinking, doesn't this just mean I stop caring about things? Not quite. The goal isn't to stop caring about people. It's to stop outsourcing your emotional state to them. There's a real difference. You can care about a relationship deeply and still refuse to let someone else's reaction dictate how you feel about yourself. Actually, that's what healthy relationships look like. 2 people who aren't constantly trying to manage each other's emotional weather. Every time you use let them, you're sending your brain a signal. My peace doesn't depend on their approval. Do that enough times and it stops being a technique. It becomes the default. You stop needing the mental replay because you stopped believing it was your job to control the outcome in the first place. That's the shift. And it's not comfortable at first. Sitting with someone else's reaction without trying to fix it takes practice, but the discomfort is temporary. The mental energy you get back is not. Let them isn't about detachment. It's about finally putting your attention where it actually does something. The shift is from managing other people's reactions to managing your own responses, and that one change frees up more mental energy than almost anything else you can do. Pick one situation this week, a coworker, a family moment, a post you're about to refresh, and run the 2 steps. Let them, then let me. If you want to understand why this kind of mental reprogramming works at a deeper level, check out our video on the strangest secret. It connects directly to how your mindset shapes every decision you make. Subscribe if this video helps.